because we had that fuzzy connection again. Be a Better You annual challenge. That's twice today. So today we're talking about the Lifeline exercise. This is an exercise we will cover every single month this year because it's that important. It's a way of looking at the different area of our life, specifically with respect to the area that we're focusing on for the month. So this month we're focusing on finances. So we're going to look at our lifeline, the events of our life, and the impact that it had on our financial health, our financial well-being. And how we do a lifeline is just like a timeline in school. We put the date of the first event. I usually put when I was born, 1960. Yep, that old. And then I draw a straight line across to the right. And then I end it. I don't end it, right? Because I don't know when I'm going to leave the planet. So I put an arrow, and then I've obviously used this cardboard handout for several years, since actually 2020, 2021. And so I just keep adding years onto it. I didn't even add them for a couple of years, but now I'm like, okay, I should probably add years and continue. So just make a straight line. And then you just start writing down on the bottom key events in your life. Now, you should have already done this because we're into month 5 of the year. So we've done this 5 times already this year. But if you haven't, start today. If you're just joining us, start today and create your own personal timeline. Remember, up to wars or leading up to, like, the world wars, especially, I remember in school, we had timelines. And so you see all the events that supposedly led up to and triggered that war. I say supposedly now because everything that we've ever learned and ever known is kind of up for grabs right now, because we're not sure what's the truth and what's not the truth anymore. But a lot of it's the truth and a weird interpretation of what happened in facts and things. So how do we separate what really happened versus what we just think happened? And that is part of today's discussion, because I've noticed a couple things by doing this Lifeline exercise all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at these key events and we're going to say, okay, well, what was the impact financially of me being born? Well, nothing for me, but it cost my parents a lot of money, right? But we're going to look at each of the key events and we're just going to ask ourselves, what was the impact financially of that occurrence? There are key occurrences in my life that I clearly know had a huge positive or negative impact on my finances. One was when I first started working and earning money of my own. Those were huge, powerful, impactful influences on me, and positive with respect to finances and money. But then I had bad things happen, like I had a bad business partner. I had a bad experience. I followed some of the wrong opportunities for me. I got divorced. Divorce is really expensive, so make sure you choose your partner wisely. That's one of my aha moments. And another is, and that's why I like to do this, because every time I do this exercise, I see a connection, I see a link, I see a belief or a thought or a feeling or a lesson learned because it was a mistake I made by not considering something I could have or should have considered at the time. A lot of times when we are making decisions and choices in our life, they're linked to strong emotional events. And when we're emotionally charged in a negative way, we make different decisions than when we're emotionally charged in a positive way. But some ahas that I have found are hindsight's 2020. I can look back on these events and I can think and say, oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda, but I didn't. And that was part of the lesson I needed to learn. But hindsight's 2020. We can see things looking back on our life and on different events and say, oh my God, why did I ever make that decision? Why did I ever choose that investment? Why did I ever get involved in network marketing? Yep, that would be one I'd be like, what a waste of time. I mean, I learned a lot from a personal development standpoint, but otherwise, so there's always benefits to everything, right? But otherwise, lots of years, lots of money, lots of energy put into something that didn't give me the payoff that I had wanted or expected. And then perception of events in our life, our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and conclusions that we draw from those events changes over time. As a 65-year-old woman, I look back on some of the events earlier in my life that I thought were absolutely the end of the world, right? And I think, oh my God, it was just a little teeny blip in my own personal timeline. All the drama and trauma that we suffer or we allow ourselves to suffer throughout our lifetime, once we get past it and there's been enough time, and it's like grief. We look back on it and we're like, oh my God, I spent 3 years on this thing, feeling bad about it, which kept me stuck in the cycle of being sad about it and stuck. When if I would have just decided at the time, okay, yep, that just happened. What's next? And I learned, I don't know where along the way I learned that, but now when something bad happens, I'm like, all right, is it mine? Is it my problem? If there's a war across the world, I can feel bad about it. I only feel bad about it for like a minute or two because number one, I have no control over it. Number two, I don't know the whole story. Number three, I can feel bad for those people and send them love and light, but I can't change what happened, right? And so why would I spend days, months, weeks, years fretting about it and giving it more energy? Because that's what happens when we worry or are doubtful or have negative emotions about something. We give that result more energy and we create more of that in our life, and we usually don't want to do that. So I guess I'm getting kind of woo-woo today. So what's our assignment today? Plot on your lifeline or not. If you haven't done it yet, plot it, plot key events. But if you have, look at those events and ask yourself, was the impact on my finances positive or negative? And then I like to graph on it. I have a big one of this because this one's way too small, but I like to graph each of the different areas in a different color. And then above the line, I do positive, and below the line, I do negative, meaning the events are across the middle of my timeline. I know it's weird, not like I represented it here, but it just goes to show you, you take the tools and you use them in a way that works for you. I advise you to do that about anything you hear, anything you see, anything you learn, any tool you come across. Take it, test it, tweak it, make it your own, and use it if it works for you, as long as it works for you. And then when it doesn't work for you anymore, stop doing it. When the timeline and the lifeline stops giving me ahas and epiphanies and helps me to be more self-aware and realize different things about myself, if it stops doing that, I'll stop using it because another tool will come along and I'll find that and I'll use that instead. All right. Any questions? Hit me up. Otherwise, share one thing that you discovered today about yourself and finances and financial health and well-being by doing this exercise so that we can learn from one another. Any questions? As always, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.